After a nice ice cream break in Waldport, we headed to Sunset Beach State Park, where we had a beautiful little private spot in the trees, and we were just steps away from this beautiful view. We woke up to a beautiful misty morning, enjoyed our coffee on the beach before we headed out. Cool. The waves were amazing that day, and the scenery was stunning all the way along. The road was interesting. There was definitely a lot of low shoulder areas, but then you had moments like this where you were like, it's all okay. We had a couple of close calls with some vehicles that went by, but then we also have ones like this that try and give us as much room as possible. And we finally made it to Carl G. Washburn State Park. It was super windy that night, but we had a really good sleep. And we were off again, heading off to Florence. And this is where we came to the tunnel. And the tunnels have been one of the scariest parts of our journey. You hit the light to let drivers know that there's cyclists in the tunnel, and you just hope for the best and pedal your little heart out. You can see there was no shoulder, but every vehicle that did go by gave us plenty of room. But I'm not gonna lie, when I got out of the tunnel, I was shaking, and we pulled over on the side of the road and had a bit of a cry. Once our heart rates were down a little bit, we were back on the road. And as we roll into Florence, of course we have to stop at the Fred Meyer. And this is where we met Caroline. She is a lovely French woman who was taking a day off as well. So we all met up for lunch the next day at this amazing Mexican restaurant. And before you know it, we're back on the road again. And we have beautiful wide shoulders on the 101 today, and that made us very happy. We went by lots of beautiful water. We had amazing views from up high. And then we're coming into Waldport for a nice little break before we head to our next campsite. And this was one of the few bridges that we could ride without having a panic attack. As we roll into town, of course, we see Smokey the Bear. And then we decide to go to the brewery for lunch. And little do we know, but Caroline was in town, and she ended up joining us as well. And then we're back off again to head to Umpqua Lighthouse State Park. There were definitely some big sneaky hills right near the end. And then amazing views of the dunes and the lighthouse. And they've got a good sense of humor. Happy Halloween. And here's a good example of the mess that we can make in a day. And then we're off again through some beautiful trees, riding with Caroline for a little bit. And then we come across a family who started in Campbell River and are making their way down to Mexico. And as we're getting closer to North Bend and Coos Bay, we see this bridge that we ended up walking because there's no shoulder, there's a lot of uphill, and it's very long. Oh, and the other sidewalk is closed, so we had to go on the opposite side.
We are on a freaking ginormous bridge, as you can see, and we're not expecting that, and there is no shoulder, so we're walking the whole fucking thing. And the other side, the sidewalk, is closed on the side that we need to be, so how convenient is that?
As we made it into North Bend and the Coos Bay area, we met up with our friends Trophy and Trinket, who were so kind to let us stay at their place that night and cooked an amazing steak dinner for us. So as we roll into Bandon, we found out that the state park was closed, so we ended up getting a room at this really funky B-side motel. And as you can see, there's a lot of retro funkiness. And Caroline joined us. And then Paul showed up on his bike, and he said hi, we had a beer, and sent him on his merry way. We had a great lunch at Tony's Crab Shack. As we said goodbye to Caroline, we rode past tons of cranberry fields, and this one they were actually harvesting.
They're harvesting cranberries! That's so cool.
And as we reached Cape Blanco State Park, we were a little disappointed because our GPS said that the campsite was at the bottom of this hill. Little did we know, we had another 2 miles of climbing to do. But then the views the next morning, holy fuck! Yes, almost got blown off my bike. And we had a beautiful, easy ride to Port Orford.
Hey guys.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support us on our journey and buy us a coffee, there's a link in the bio.